Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Creed. My friends, you know what's been really interesting to watch over the last couple of days into weeks now with, everyone's saying this is the Iran war. I don't think of it as a war because Congress hasn't declared war, but, I understand that a lot of people call it that, so we'll call it that for the sake of discussion. But before I get into the Iran war, let's talk about something that happened to me last night. Last night, I had a very interesting dream, which, I've had dreams over the course of my life that were a little more prophetic, honestly, than I would like to admit. But what's really interesting is last night I was having this dream, and in the dream, obviously I'm an American, but I was on an Israeli ship, a destroyer, and we were off the coast in the Mediterranean Sea for some reason, and we were fighting, we were exchanging missiles, we were launching out flare. It was a whole battle scene. And for some reason, Benjamin Netanyahu was there. I don't know why he was there. I doubt he ever goes to such things because of his age. But nevertheless, he was on the ship, and we were under siege, we were under fire, we were returning fire. The whole thing was a nightmare. And at the very end, I remember this part most vividly than anything, in between the explosions, the lights, smoke, soot, waves bobbing with residue. The one thing I remember the most of was he said, "It's time." And I said, "Mr. President, what are you talking? Mr. Netanyahu, what are you talking about?" And he goes down into the hold. He makes a phone call, and then in the phone call he says, "Sam's option." I'm not making this up. And then hangs up the phone. And the next thing I know is I see this Minuteman III looking missile, kind of similar to what you've seen in the Air Force, coming up on the horizon, heading straight into the atmosphere. And then I woke up. And I thought to myself, what the heck was that? I've never been to Israel. I've never met Netanyahu. I don't know any of these people. Nothing at all. I don't know any of these people. Never been to Israel. I'm an American. I've never been in the IDF. Nothing. But yet for some reason I have this dream that the war is dragging on for too long. Anybody who knows who Samson is knows the reference that I just made. Samson was one of the judges in the Old Testament who was the strongest, who had the strength of what people might say of like Heracles or Hercules, who, after the Philistines finally got to him through his girlfriend or wife or whoever, Delilah, they were gesturing, poking him, killing him basically after they blinded him and put him against two pillars. And instead of dying there like a dog, he pushed one last time using the last strength that God had given him. He pushes the temple down on the Philistines and they all die, including himself. What's the message there? You do the math. You do the math. What do you think that dream is meant? What do you think that dream means? I think this war in Iran is going to get worse before it gets better. And I also think that this is not Iraq. Anybody who's comparing this to Iraq knows nothing about history at all. Zero, nothing. They didn't invest their billions of dollars in tanks, in planes, in equipment. No. They didn't do any of that. What they did was they came up with more drones and more missiles that are underground, not above ground. That's why the Strait of Hormuz is closed. That's why the oil is shot up over $1, sometimes even more in places like California. This is why we're seeing what we're seeing, because we do not have the Navy we were supposed to have. Thanks to Biden, Obama, these people who neutered us, we now have the Navy that we have. And we are not able to fight this war the way we should because of the lack of naval equipment that we have, thanks to the know-nothings who ran this country before. Now, my friends, let's go back to my dream for 1 second. Does that strike a chord with any of you, or do you think it's just the ramblings of a man who maybe had a weird piece of sushi last night? What do you think of that dream that I had, where I'm on I can only imagine is an Israeli destroyer, and Prime Minister Netanyahu is there, and he says, do it, makes a phone call, says, launch the Samson option. I don't know why that tongue twisters me so much. And then I see this giant looking missile that looks exactly like a Minuteman III missile from the America on the horizon going up in the atmosphere. I don't know where it's going. I can only imagine where it's going. But does that strike a chord with any of you? I've never had a dream about Israel, Netanyahu, nothing. And yet for some reason I had this dream last night that kept me up. I woke up this morning in a sweat, and I was like, what was that? What kind of dream is this? I'm not a prophet. Why am I getting these dreams? Why am I getting these dreams? I hope they're not prophetic, by the way. I hope to God they're not prophetic. I don't even know if the IDF has such a thing as the Samson option, to be honest with you. But for some reason, that was in my dream last night. And I've been just sitting with this all morning, wondering what the heck was going on in my dreams last night. And what's going on with Iran and America and the gas prices. This whole thing has gone completely off the rails. And to top it all off, I get this dream last night. And then, to add insult to injury, we can go down the list of the sleeper cells in America have been activated. You may not have read this in the local paper, but there was a man in Texas who was wearing military garb, not American military garb, mind you, had a taser and a gun, and he tries to walk into a Texas elementary school and they stop him. Then you have the other guy who had property of Islam written on him when he goes to shoot up people. We're at war, and we're not just at war with Iran. The whole Islamic world has declared war on America, and it goes all the way back to 9/11. In case you've forgotten, I'm 26, so this is right when I was 1 year old was when this happened to the country. And yet for some reason, I seem to remember more about 9/11 than people twice my age who were my age when 9/11 happened in the first place. And yet I seem to be the only one saying that Islam has to go through a reformation to continue to be a religion. Because if you look at Judaism, you look at Christianity, there's one thing in common. There's a Reformed sect of Judaism. There is the Protestant church compared to the Catholic church. There is a constant theme of we do not subscribe to the same ideology that the Crusaders did. We do not follow the letter of the Old Testament where it says to kill certain people, to stone people to death, to get rid of adulterers. We don't do these things in a sane nation. We don't do these things anymore. But yet the Mullahs still do it. And the worst part is, it's not every Muslim is evil. I mean, let's get that out of the way. Not every Muslim is evil. I'd be a fool to say a thing like that. The issue is the influence of the religion. And if you think I'm alone with this, you're wrong. You ever heard of a man named Winston Churchill? Yes, the chain-smoking, bourbon-drinking man from the World War II era in Britain, back when Britain wasn't a pansy state or a nanny state. Yes, that Winston Churchill. He was the one in 1899 who wrote about how Islam was to man what hydrophobia is in a dog. And it was the influence of the religion itself and what he called Mohammedanism that caused the issues, and that freedom would never be the leading force on the planet as long as Islam continued to be a relevant force on Earth. And my friends, if you think he was a racist, you're wrong. If you think that he was just a fool and Islamophobe, I pity you. I never understood this idea of Islamophobia. Phobias are irrational fears, like fear of staircases, fear of, of everything, fear of, dogs, fear of birds. That's what a phobia is. Fear of someone who actively says they want to kill or convert you is not a phobia. It's a very rational concern at the least and a fear at the most. And it's not rhetoric. We're seeing it happen in live and living color before our eyes. Before our eyes, damn it. And everywhere I turn, Islamophobia. Oh, the Christian church is bad. Oh, and by the way, the same people who are talking about how Christians are no good happen to be the feminists amongst us. Hey, feminists or people who consider themselves to be feminists, whether it be male or female, let me ask you something. All you brave boys and girls out there, let me ask you a quick question. You have all this smoke for Christians, all this smoke for men in the red pill space, all this smoke for these evil wife beaters, which is all well and good. But where is the smoke for the radical Muslims who have 4 wives, whose wives can't walk outside without a man, who can't open a bank account, who can't drive a car, who have to have their clitorises removed surgically, who can get raped if they are a non-Muslim to be converted, who still trade in slaves, largely sexual slavery, as of this very moment you are listening to this show? Where are the feminists lecturing them? Hey, Mr. Evil Mullah, why are you doing this to your women? Hey, why do you put your women in throwback clothing? Isn't it a man's responsibility to control his lusts? Is it not our responsibility to keep ourselves in check, and a woman can wear whatever she wants, and she's strong and independent and just as good as a man, and she shouldn't be an object for sexual, reasons? Where are they lecturing the mullahs who do this every day of the week? Who marry 9-year-old girls in some places, like what the prophet said, that evil son of a bitch. That evil scumbag Muhammad. Yes, you heard me right. He was not a prophet, he was a demon. What prophet do you know that goes out there and says, oh yeah, you can kill everybody who disagrees with us, they're all unholy, get rid of them, convert them if you can't cut their head off? Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it says in there that nasty things of Jews, the stuff that you hear from guys like Nick Fuentes and people like Candace Owens. Oh yeah, Tucker Carlson, yeah, sure. All these people, yeah. Guess what? The Crusades happened because the Muslims attacked the Jews and drove them out. You know, the place we call Israel today? You know, the ones they say that Palestine was there before Israel when the mullahs took over, and then the Catholic Church, when they still had some balls, called for Christendom to protect the Jews and protect the Holy Land. Oh, you forgot about that. You thought the Crusaders just went in there to hurt people? Oh no. Oh no, my friends, they didn't. They went there as a response to Muslim aggression. And in response to the biggest invasion in human history outside of the Mongols. You don't know about this, do you? You don't know about this because you probably went to college where they taught you about the evils of the white male and how anything that the white man does is evil and we have to get rid of them, as opposed to the people who still trade in slaves now and who traded in slaves back in the days of the transatlantic slave trade. You know how I know this? Because you listen to the Marine Corps. You heard about the Marines and their song from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. You know where Tripoli was? It was one of the headquarters for the Muslim Barbary pirates, who were the Marines were created and called leathernecks because they wore leather on their necks to protect themselves from the saber blows from your sacred Muslim throat-cutting friends in North Africa while they were trading in slaves and extorting the countries in Europe and America. You think I'm making this up, do you? That white gold is a myth? That the Barbary pirates and the people, their ancestors who now still trade in slaves right now as I speak on this show, you think this is a fake news show? You're wrong. Look, I encourage you to look up everything I say. Look it up. Look it up and see if I'm lying about it. Go ahead, right now. Do it. Do it. I want you to. I want you to look it up. I want you to know everything I'm telling you is factually correct. Not some garbage fed by you, but from some alphabet channels who lie about Trump, who lie about conservatives, who lie about Republicans, who hijack the once semi-great Democrat Party and subvert it into something it was never meant to become. Nothing. But now guess what? It takes someone like me to make this show. Not the great boomers or the silent generation who are supposed to be leading this country. It's me, a Gen Z man who you're listening to on the show right now, giving you the raw, honest, shearing truth that the sheep are being exploited. You are being exploited. And I want you to understand your lies you're being fed on a daily basis are going to hurt you, and you must do something about it. You must educate yourself. You must know who the threats are, and it's not the evil white male. It's not. I don't care if you're black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, you've been lied to. You've been lied to. And you need to accept that before you can move forward in this country and in your life. Do the research. You want to tell me I'm wrong? Show me where I'm wrong. I'll listen to you. Put it in the comments. I'll read it. Let me know what you think. I'm out of here. Peace.